has actually pulled left a little bit, and then I see these 3 mopeds go by. No, no, I can't take this anymore. It's too much. Hey people, Pinnacle here. I recently released a video about filtering in London. Now, that video got some very nice views and very nice feedback. It also had some good constructive feedback as well. So what I've decided to do today, because I'm commuting into London again and I'm going the same route, I've decided to actually try and listen to all of the feedback that I've got and make sure that this journey is not only 100% legal, it is also a very safe journey. So taking into consideration the feedback of all of the community that has responded to my videos, this video is dedicated to you to see if your feedback has actually now been lodged into my brain and I've managed to take that on board, take into consideration and ride safely and legally. Now I do think this is going to be a challenge for me. I'm not saying that I ride dangerously or illegal, but I know I do some things which are, on my commute is frowned upon sometimes. So I'm going to talk you through some parts of this commute. Getting onto the A12 here, which is going into East London from Essex. This is always chock-a-block first thing. Car lets me out here, which is great. I'm pulling in behind this black car in the first lane, and I'm staying there until I'm absolutely confident that there's no one coming from behind. I do my lifesaver, and then I can get into the middle lane and start filtering. Now again, filtering through stationary traffic, you shouldn't really be going more than about 15 miles an hour, maybe 20 max, if there's a big gap. Otherwise it could be deemed as dangerous driving by the police, and you could get done and points on your license on a speeding ticket for the one. A speeding ticket, reckless driving, dangerous driving, whatever the category is. Moving traffic, you want to try and stay at a reasonable safe speed, which is what I'm considering I'm doing here. I'm making sure that any gaps that I see, like that one there, this one here on the left, our car's going to be moving, going to be swapping lanes, they're going to be pulling into it, etc. I'm always looking out for things like that. Look at the indicators, look at the front wheel positions of the cars, and see where you can actually see any possible dangers. We've got traffic lights up here, we've got junctions coming up. You can see from this angle that there's quite a lot of space. From the front, in my last video, it looked like I was really close to these cars, but there's a lot of space here, as you can see from this camera angle. Now, it's cleared out a little bit here, but usually I'm going to be zipping down the inside there, right? Which is classed as an undertaking. Now you may be thinking, what's the difference between undertaking and filtering? Well, that would have been undertaking, and this is more like filtering because the cars are going slower, they're all kind of stagnated together, where in the other situation, the cars were very much moving at almost the speed limit. So here, as the traffic is almost at a halt or slowing down, we are filtering through the cars towards the front of the traffic lights. And as the traffic starts to move again, we can stop filtering. We can get into a designated lane and we can just ride normally. We don't need to be swerving in and around. So this vehicle on the right hand side is doing less than the speed limit, but I'm not going to undertake him and there's no one to overtake, so I'm going to check my position and move into the left hand lane. Now I'm in the left hand lane, I'm looking for junctions, I'm looking for people pulling out. Right here, I spot a car coming out of a junction, I check left, I check right, make sure my middle lane's clear so I can move if needed. So as we're approaching these traffic lights, is there an opportunity to filter? Yeah, there is. There's loads of space between these cars, but that left Fiesta, or is it a Focus? I don't know, Fiesta, yeah, is a little bit too close to the right hand side, so that's going to be a bit too much of a squeeze, and I don't know when these lights are going to change. So you can see my position here, I'm visible and clear to the both cars behind me. I'm not sure that this car on the left or the right in front of me has actually seen me, so I'm holding back. Now approaching the next set of traffic lights, these lights are red. there is a space here for me to get through. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze, and I know some of you don't like that, but the woman in the left there was drinking her coffee. She's not paying much attention, and I know that I've got a little while before these lights change. So I'm stopped here behind the white line and getting ready to get out of trouble. As I cross this carriageway, I will look into the left and look into the right to make sure there's no emergency vehicles or people jumping the red lights. So now we get onto this stretch of road, which has caused the most controversy. On this particular road, the two lanes have been reduced in width to make a cycle lane. Now, so that means that it's much more difficult to squeeze between the vehicles in these two lanes. So, the left-hand lane, what actually is that? Is it a cycle lane? Yes, it is. There's two types of cycle lanes. One is a mandatory cycle lane, and one is an advisory cycle lane. The difference between the two is that mandatory cycle lanes have solid white lines, and it's an offence to ride in those cycle lanes on anything else apart from a cycle during its hours of operation. Now, advisory cycle lanes are marked with dashed white lines like the ones on this road. Now, these are purely advisory. They have no formal legal meaning. However, the advisory rule is urging drivers to keep out of them, and that includes motorcyclists as well. But that's not a law that is being broken if you ride in these lanes. What is apparent is that it is dangerous because you are riding curbside. Now, you see here that there's a lot of parked cars on the left-hand side, and you're also in danger of the left-hand lane, which will be on your right-hand side if you were filtering in there, crossing over onto the pavement to park outside the house, people getting out, there's a station nearby, maybe they don't want to sit in traffic, and passengers will get out and they will cross the road and go over to the station, or anything else that could possibly happen. So I guess the question then starts, do we go in these cycle lanes or do we not? Well, it's advised not to, but I guess you make your own choice based on that. And by all means, research these facts for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. I've done some research, but I'm not a legal advisor, or I can't claim to be correct on everything. So anyway, this was the most frustrating part of my journey. I am so frustrated here. I can't move, I'm trapped, and I'm thinking, why the hell am I on a bike? I might as well just bring a car. What's the point? What's the actual point? Now, I mean, people are doing their best. Even this massive truck here has actually pulled left a little bit, and then I see these 3 mopeds go by. No, I can't take this anymore. It's too much. So anyway, I did stick to the plan. I didn't go in that cycle lane, and I carried on through the congested traffic. Another scene here. So this is now coming off of the A12. We are pulling around. We've got a roundabout which takes us through Bow, which is just after Stratford. Now here, again, I decided not to filter. And the reason I'm not filtering is there's a great big truck here for a start. Sometimes they can't even see what's in front of them because they're so high up. But also, if you notice the ground between those two cars here, it's very uneven. And it's not easy to squeeze through a gap with uneven ground. So as the traffic lights change, we get ready to pull off, and we stay in our lane here. Even though we want to turn right, both of these lanes can go right. But we need to be very aware of what's around us. I could have shot through there, but no, I don't know where these cars are going, who's turning left, no one's indicating. I have no clue where everyone's going. And this van here, is he pulling off on this one? I need to stay back because again, he's not indicating, but he is coming off the roundabout. So that could have been me right between the curb and that truck. So I stayed back, and I'm very conscious of him. I'm very conscious of the junctions, people pulling out. I've got a flyover here coming up to my right hand side, so I'm life-saving before I move out into the right hand side there as well, like this. Now I'm moving out to the right hand side. I'm covering my brake here because we're approaching traffic lights. There's a bus pulling out. Don't know whether this truck is coming over or not, so I'm not going to go next to him. I'm waiting till he pulls back into his lane. Then I'll pull alongside him, and I'm making sure that he can see me and that I'm visible to him. So I have a quick glance over to make sure I get eye contact with him so I know he sees me as well. We pull away from these set of traffic lights. Now this is now a 20 zone for the whole of the rest of the journey. So from Bow all the way into London and around London, we are 20 mile an hour. Now, I have to say, I did go over 20 mile an hour, okay? Only 1 or 2 miles an hour, but I did go over 20 mile an hour. It's impossible. It's impossible to drive through on an open road at 20 mile an hour when you've got this massive long road ahead of you. Junction on the right here, checking front wheels, checking for indicators, making sure no one's going to turn. Now I didn't pull in front of this white Audi here because it's very close to the central reservation and there's no need. Gaining one space, there's literally no need to do that. As the traffic starts to slow, we are looking for options to filter. Now, filtering on the other side of the road, that is perfectly allowed. Now here, there's a junction, so I didn't filter there, even though I had the opportunity to do so. Now I don't have the opportunity, lots of cars come in, and I'm seeing above, you can see the white line which splits into the chevrons, so I'm going to be very careful about how far up I go here. Zigzag lines again here, so I'm not going to push too far forward. I'm going to get into a space which is available and safe to do so. A little bit worried about the Tesla on the left hand side because he's got lots of room in front of him, which usually means he wants to get over. So I make sure that I'm visible to him by pulling in front of his vision, and then I'm back on my way again. So here again, traffic is slow moving. We are doing about 10 to 15 mile an hour here. So I am considering filtering now. Junction on the right hand side, cars pulling out, so I make a decision to be careful but still filter. I cannot go in front of this car at the zigzag. It is illegal.
Illegal only when police there. Police not there, Habibi, everything legal.
Loads of space here to be able to filter on the opposite side of the road, totally legal. Check in for pedestrians. No junctions coming up on the right hand side. Doesn't mean cars are not going to pull out. You may see a moped pulling out, you may see a cyclist pulling out, and I get over just in time. These are not very well highlighted restriction cones. So the rest of the journey went as expected, let's say. I did manage to stay legal. I did manage to stay safe, and I didn't do anything silly that sometimes I would do. Let's be honest, we all do things silly now and again. But I wanted for this video to just assess what it felt like and you know, being safe and riding safe to work. Now I ride a bike for a reason. I like the freedom. I like the excitement. I like the fun. I know other people ride it for a different reason, but this is why I ride. And if you're going to be doing all of those aspects of riding during the commute, it's very hard to do that. So yeah, the commute was a bit boring, unfortunately, but then commutes usually are, so not much I can add to that. Anyway, thank you very much for all of your support and all of your feedback around these areas of conversation. If this is your first time watching my channel and you like what you see, maybe subscribe. I do reviews, I do how-tos, and I do some vlogs. So anyway, thanks very much for everyone's support so far. Really appreciate it, helping this channel grow. I will leave it there, and I will wish you all safe riding and catch you later.